Welcome to Book Club for Movies, everybody. It is June 6th. I'm Ryan Miller, and I'm going to try again. It's Matt Amberg.
You should. Always never quit.
It's Matt Amberg.
Yeah. Always never quit. Do it.
I quit.
Okay.
And on Book Club for Movies, we watch one movie a week, and we talk about it. You should join the conversation. TM at bookclubformovies.com, podcast at bookclubformovies.com, however you want to do it, Facebook, Twitter. This week, it's the brand new, just tippy top of everybody. It's conversation starter.
The zeitgeist.
We're in it.
The pinnacle.
Bandersnatch.
Bandersnatch.
A Netflix original, wherein, you may have heard, you kind of choose your own adventure if adventure equals movie or piece of entertainment. So we've maybe introduced the hardest movie to synopsize ever, Matt. What do you do?
Well, we synopsize it in the best that we can. That's what we do.
Do you have one?
Have I ever not?
Last week I think we didn't have one.
Well, you're going to have to go back to the tape on that one because I'm not sure. And it is tape. We record everything analog.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's the stupidest workflow I've ever created.
Record analog, convert to digital.
Yeah, VHS.
To VHS, downgraded to Betamax, upgraded to Laserdisc. How do I get this to
sound good?
I don't know. It's impressive. Once you hit Laserdisc is where I lose it. I like the connections you have. Here is what we've got to say. Bandersnatch is going to come out you in an hour and 30 minutes. It was written by Charlie Brooker, directed by David Slade, starring Fionn Whitehead, Will Poulter, Azim Chowdhury, Craig Parkinson, and Alice Lowe. This is your Book Club for Movies synopsis for Bandersnatch. I don't know why I got to say it that way. It just sounds like it should be a Scottish thing.
I don't even know why you got to say it like it's like the fifth time.
In 1984, a young programmer with dreams of adapting his favorite fantasy novel into a choose-your-own-adventure video game begins to slowly unravel thread after thread, forcing him to answer the question, am I in a simulation?
That's not at all how it went for me.
Oh.
Yes, kidding. It's kind of how it went for me.
It's kind of how it goes for everybody a little bit.
How are we going to talk about this thing?
Well, I think the way we talk about this is the general concept of the movie, which I think the synopsis actually does lay out pretty well. Because I don't know, this is a movie where we can't really beat by beat it. We can't really go story for story. It's going to be slightly different everywhere, but I think we can do most of it. I think it's mostly there. Okay. The endings are really where it kind of, there's like one or two parts that are really major points, but I guess, we take this as we go, and then towards the end, we talk about what endings we watched.
Okay.
If you got them all, because I only watched the one.
Did you rewatch this for?
I did. I rewatched
the show. Okay.
And funny enough, I got the same ending, which I don't even know how I managed it, but I did it twice. So
all right.
Brilliance.
So, okay, a little from column A, a little from column B, I think here. Initially, and still, this is probably why my notes are so copious here. I began by pretty much beat by beating it. Whenever there was a decision, I wrote down in caps the decision that I took, because I thought it would be curious also to see where we differed, and I think it'll be fun to talk about where we differed.
Sure.
But I'll do some of that combined with kind of my trip through the movie.
Yeah, do that.
Because I think that's partially the point, and also it's all I got. It's all I can ever bring to this table.
You know what? That's what the table is for. You bring it and eat at it.
So, I knew, people know, that this movie is something that you choose along the way. It introduces decisions, and based on those decisions, the movie changes. What I didn't know was how, I probably would have known better had I remembered this was a Black Mirror property. And I don't watch the show, but I know enough to know that they deal with many meta layers often.
Yeah, it's like the Twilight Zone on acid.
So I think had I remembered that, I might have expected a little bit more of this, but I didn't know how much it was going to take into account the decisions. Like if it was just a choose your own adventure movie, like the books were just choose your own adventure books, and correct me if I'm wrong, none of those books really wrapped back around on choice or you as a reader, or I guess they were written in second person, but still, like they weren't ever calling that out. They didn't engage with that meta layer like Black Mirror or like Bandersnatch does.
Well, no, because it's you're reading a story and you're
Sure.
just telling the character where to go.
Sure.
There's no interaction there where Bandersnatch can have interaction in a way.
So part of my dialogue with the film was centered around that, and I think it worked out because I think the movie does acknowledge that, and I think we'll get there. But maybe to get me into that a little bit more, we can start out beat by beat, and then we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
Because I was curious how the decisions were going to work. And you wake up. Well, okay, I see. This is maybe the first question I bring in. When I say you wake up, are you Stefan, the main character? Because I think at times, maybe at the beginning, I kind of assumed that I was. Like I was making those decisions that ended up shaping his life or deciding what he did.
Oh, yeah. So that's, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, he wakes up. It starts off with really simple decisions. What cereal do you want? What cereal did you choose, by the way? You don't know? Don't even remember?
I don't like all. I remember at this point. I remember which ending I got. Okay. I don't remember the minute things. That there are three things that I remember specifically about the show. It's. Okay. I'll get out in front of my opinion. I think it's really fun. It's a super cool episode of the show. It's nothing memorable. And the hook to it is, to me, that's what is memorable about it. That episode itself, good use of where they were taking things, using the year and taking it as a video game. Really fun, really, really interesting. But it's totally not memorable to me at all.
Yeah, and I think that's partially by design. Like you're basically saying if it lost the choice aspect to it, this would be nothing special at all.
100%. Right? It would be absolutely worthless. This is there's no way this ends is good.
And I think you're right. But I also think that they've made choice such an integral part to it that makes sense. Like they still haven't squandered their opportunity here is all I'm saying.
No. I agree with you.
Yeah. Okay. So I chose Sugar Puffs is what I'm trying to say, essentially. And while that does come back, figures into the story later, it's not in any meaningful way. The next choice is more meaningful in that you choose some music. Like he pulls out some cassettes and you choose which one he puts in his Walkman.
Oh yeah, which one did I choose?
Which one did you choose?
I don't remember what the options were.
See, now this is more important to me because you choose that song and it becomes the song
for the movie.
The next scene is set to.
Yeah, and I don't remember. I don't even remember what the options were. Like again, I watched it like 3 days ago.
I chose the Thompson Twins. Does that help?
That's totally what I chose. It was the Thompson because that was it.
You know, and my mind is racing at this point. Like it's not racing yet, but I'm starting to dig into this. Right, I'm starting to ask those annoying questions that I'm sure 2 people out there want to hear. Like, if you missed Tuesday's show. Go check it out for some real deep Call of Duty thoughts. You're gonna get some real deep Bandersnatch thoughts on this.
Bandersnatch.
But yeah, I'm at this point. I'm like, okay, the scene just got set to that music, and yes, this breaks down where you consider your limited options, and breaks down as maybe a loaded term based on how you think this movie did by the end of it. But the fact that I chose a song and that the next scene was set to that song that essentially set the mood to that next scene, you know, gets me going here. You know, I'm interested in the possibilities now. This is something more than just cereal. And then, yes, it turns out we're in game development. He is trying to make this game that he's been designing on his own a little bit already. He's taken it to this new company, Tuckersoft. But the game he's doing is the game based on the novel Bandersnatch, written by James
Joyce.
Jerome F. Davies. Jerome Davies is the name of the guy who wrote the book in the movie. But upon pitching your game to that software company, you are then faced with your first real decision. And it's accept the job. They offer you the job there to complete your game. And you can either accept the job or refuse it. What did you do?
I refused the job.
You refused the job, really?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
What clued you in to refuse the job? I'm curious.
Because that's what I would have done.
I suck.
If I was that smart, if I'm smart like that kid, and I can program like that, and I've got the idea to do it, and this guy is going to say, "We'll give you the money and all the time. You go do it at home." Yeah, I'm gonna take that. I don't want to work with other people.
But is that what he said? Like,
No,
I felt like he was.
But that's him. Like the kid would rather, and it's the same thing. I would rather keep my property, know that I
Right.
did it, than
You're
give
just
it to
smarter than
somebody
I am.
else, and that's just a personal thing. So I like.
You're smarter.
I go one of two directions with anything like this. Like in video games, I'm the same way. If there is either like, because usually it's either the good guy or the bad guy, and I will always take the bad guy. I always go the bad guy route. Like always.
So do you think that figured in? You thought that was kind of the bad guy choice?
Well, no. So it's either I go the bad guy route or I go the exact route that I would take. I never take I won't take the good guy route. And this was one where there is a good guy or good guy, maybe a bad guy, but there's the one I would take. And so I took the one I would take.
I love this though, man. I think this is the value of this movie, right? Because I just took a corporate job, like, and I walk into this thing and I think, oh, like, I think that's kind of the goal. Like, oh, he's offering me a job. Yeah. I want that. So I accept it. And essentially I get the ending where the game comes out and it's being reviewed. And basically the reviewer says, oh, this is game by committee through and through,
it's
right?
Garbage. Yeah.
And it turns out that was the thing that he did. He took the job and, we should mention, he mentioned a kind of a savant programmer that's already there named Colin, played by the mean kid from all the Divergent movies. You'll know him from.
Never saw them, but I like that guy. I liked him a lot. He was actually
he's great.
That character was really good.
He did really well. But yeah, so I choose that, and then I'm like, oh, that wasn't it. I don't know. I guess that just seemed like the obvious choice at the beginning. But so what happens essentially, and this is the question I have in my notes, was shoot, did I just get tutorialized? Because the movie ends and it gives me the option. Oh, what was the option at that point?
And go to the credits or go back a scene. Or
I didn't see the credits choice yet, though. I don't think that popped up yet.
That might be too early.
That would have been funny, though. It should pop up.
Way to screw up.
That's it. You want to end the movie here?
Good. I hope you enjoyed your 30 minutes.
If even that, yeah. So I hit whatever the thing was that was like, because I think it's the first time it takes you to that screen that shows you multiple TVs and it shows you videos on both screens. And it's basically go back in time, like go back, restart that decision. And
right.
I think it might just say accept the job or something. I don't know. Anyways, it was obvious to me that they wanted me to go back and then accept the job. Like I got tutorialized, So I did that. I refused the job. And then sure enough, the movie moves on. And you're going to have to stop me if I move past anything because, again, we're branching here in different ways. And eventually we will not go beat by beat. So,
again, there's only two or three parts that to me make a difference. And they're we'll get there.
Okay. So two things happen when I refuse that job. I understand now what I think might be my goal, which also shifted my view on the movie. Because at the beginning, I'm thinking, and I guess for Choose Your Own Adventure stuff, kind of the goal has always been to get to the end. But here I viewed it more as I'm going to make choices and it's going to tell me a story based on my choices. Mm-hmm. But now I realize that it's sending me in a certain direction, which also begs the question I think I had from the very beginning is how much choice is actually here. And this is where it's going to get real stupid, right?
Oh wait, no. Hold on. Is this
Okay.
because now you get into the arching question in life of what decision do I make and where does it take me? That type of thing. Is that where you're going to head with this?
Eventually, the movie heads there eventually,
and how it's the entire movie is based around you only get one choice and think real hard about it because otherwise you may be the one that jumps out a window.
It's so much worse than you think.
Okay, good.
So Roger Ebert.
Are you gonna have French words here?
No. We used all those up on the Tuesday show.
Okay.
Somehow. Roger Ebert always had a thing about games, and it was that. And there's a couple quotes, and I couldn't find the actual piece that it comes from, so I've got kind of bits and pieces here. But his essential idea was, and maybe I should lead with, I don't know, does anybody not know the whole Roger Ebert and video games thing? Like, do we need to speak to?
This is an art, is our video games
Kinda.
art?
Yes,
That's essentially
basically. Yes,
the
essentially.
question.
Yeah, that
the question
became
is.
his thing. And
Yeah.
and the whole video game community got up in arms at various points in time about Roger Ebert. But I freaking love Roger Ebert. I don't care what he said because he always said it. I mean, the dude is a film theorist. He's not just a critic. That guy is beyond. Like, we studied papers of his in college.
Sure.
In film school. That's your French word for the day.
Film school.
Yeah. So the quote, one of the quotes I was able to grab is this. It says, quote, "I did indeed consider video games inherently inferior to film and literature. There is a structural reason for that. Video games by their nature require player choices, which is the opposite of the strategy of serious film and literature, which requires authorial control." Right? So I knew this was going to be an issue from the beginning. And at this point in the movie, it's essentially introducing not only the shape that authorial control is going to take here, but also the shape that I'm going to give it. Right?
Right. So sorry. I totally glossed and I didn't
too.
say it right. It's the that's what I was gonna say. Is this gonna be the discussion about how everybody has an illusion of choice, but there is no actual choice?
Yeah, and the movie does also go there. So yes, I think.
Oh
that's
no,
where
it does, and
we are going,
and
yeah.
for sure the ending, at least a couple of the endings, reach out to that.
So that's where I'm at after I refused the job, and maybe this is where we can stop beat by beat. Surely I've passed over something. Give me one of your things. Let's do that.
I don't have any of them because
You said you had two things.
Oh well, the two things are how I got to where I was, and it just
To the end.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll go a little bit farther then before we get straight up into the end, but I'll go quickly. How about that?
Yeah, sure.
So quickly, the film also introduces the therapist, right? He goes to see a therapist. He's dealing with a couple issues. His mother's death, I believe. Yes.
Right. He blames himself for his mother's
Right.
death because he was having a meltdown about his stuffed rabbit.
He had a rabbit. His dad thought he was too old for the stuffed rabbit, so his dad took the rabbit. So his mom left late for wherever she was going because he wouldn't leave because he couldn't find his rabbit. And it actually puts you through that scene in a flashback, and it's one of the only moments in the film where you can select a choice, but there's only one choice to select, and it's no, I won't stop looking for the rabbit. And his mom dies on that trip that she takes right after that.
Yeah, and he blames himself for her being late and on the wrong train.
Right. So he's speaking with his therapist about all this different stuff, and I believe at the end of that first session, she voices the words that the past is immutable. Right?
Yeah.
So it can't be changed. And I mean, it's not the most subtle reference in this movie, and there are a few of those. I think they are properly placed, so I'm not going to give him any guff for that. Not that my guff holds any weight, so whatever. Guff away. I don't know. Guff's a good word.
Unguff.
Take it off my jacket.
Yeah.
That's how crazy I am.
Remove the guff.
My guff jacket.
Rough.
You choose Phaedra. You choose some more music to play. You shout at your dad. That's what I chose. Do any of these choices sound familiar?
Yeah, I definitely shouted at Dad.
Okay. And I think the option was to throw your coffee or shout at your dad. Like, there were a couple options that involved damaging the computer.
Oh wait, you know what? No, I threw my coffee.
Did you? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I threw the coffee. That's right.
I kept choosing, and you got to know me, I'm making decisions also based on what I would do, which
And
the right ones are never there. So I'm like, I don't want to throw the coffee. I might damage the computer. So I'm going to yell at Dad.
That's basically, yeah.
Right. But then he takes you back to the therapist, and you see Colin walking away or walking down the street. I thought maybe it was important that you saw him at the therapist's place of business, but I think that was just, I don't think that actually figured in.
Red herring.
Did you get this?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you follow Colin, or did you go into the therapist?
Went into the therapist.
Really?
Yeah.
Man.
I go to therapy regularly.
Okay. And me, I'm still in denial. So I followed Colin. This is going to be great then. You might not know what happens, or maybe you do.
Where did Colin take you?
Colin takes me to his house where you meet his wife and child. And he says to his wife, he's in the hole. And this is referencing a quick conversation that he had with Stefan, that Stefan was having a fight in his own head, I think. You're having a fight in your head You're in the hole is what he calls it. He tells his wife that, and his wife's like, oh, are you going to get him out? And he's like, yeah, sure. So he takes out 2 pieces of LSD. Is that the
Tabs.
proper? Okay, tabs. See, I even knew that. I'm so old now. 2 drugs of LSD and offers it to Stefan. And what do you think I said?
No.
No, I said no, I won't take your drugs. So he slips them into my coffee and I have to take them anyways. The choice is taken away from you. But they do reference that almost immediately because I drink the coffee and the effects of the LSD begin to take hold.
Sure.
And Colin says, I took that choice away from you. How did it feel? And Stefan says, amazing, or something like that. Like he loves it. He loves the fact that the choice was stolen from him.
I totally had that the first time. I did that my first time around.
Okay. So you didn't follow Colin the first time. Oh, I see.
No, I did follow Colin the first time.
Or you did. Sorry, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So did that confrontation lead to you 2 on the balcony?
Yes.
And him explain. So he goes off on this big conspiracy theory. As in Pac-Man stands for program and control. Everybody's being controlled. There are all these systems and programs in the world that are like just full on conspiracy theory stuff, right? Everything.
Right.
This is where Time is a Construct comes out, which I didn't know that's the movie you were referencing whenever you said that line these past few months.
Oh, it's not.
No? Oh.
No.
Well.
That's something that's just been floating around for years.
Okay.
Time is a Construct.
Bandersnatch stole your idea.
Bandersnatch!
I think I said Bandersnatch that time too.
Bandersnatch!
So we're on the balcony. He's going off on his rant, and he basically says it doesn't matter what you choose because it all starts over. Like time is a construct, obviously.
Time is a flat circle.
At that point, you're given the choice.
Chaos is a ladder.
Of you jump off the balcony or Colin jumps off the balcony. Mm-hmm. Did you get to that point?
Colin jumps off the balcony.
You chose Colin?
Oh, yeah. Well, because again, I'm going to do the thing I would do. And if somebody's like, hey, either you jump or I jump, I'm going to go, all right, start over on your own, buddy.
In the second time around, I did. And this is also the great thing about this movie. So the first time I choose myself because I'm thinking, okay, this is where the line between me and Stefan starts to break down, right? Up until now, I'm like doing what I'm doing. I kind of consider myself Stefan. But at that point, I'm like, well, if I say Colin, like he's going to do it because the dude is clearly out of his mind right now. So I'm like, I'm just going to say me, like, I'll do this. Like, I'll take the hit. Like, I would rather die than this other dude, than cause somebody else to die. Mm-hmm. So I do that. And sure enough, I jump off the edge and die. And this is, I guess, maybe the second, if you count that first where I accepted the job, hard ending of the film. Mm-hmm. So it cuts to another scene where the game comes out and it's reviewed poorly because it's more favorable than designed by committee.
Yes.
But it's like it just ended or they gave it to somebody else to finish, I think is the words he uses. And that's the game. So it kind of reiterates that maybe my goal here is to finish the game. And in fact, that's the ending I still want to see if I go back to this. I mean, spoiler for where it did end for me, but I would maybe or I guess I'll probably just look up what happens or if you can finish the game or whatever. In any event, I'm pretty much forced to go back to... I went one more time around because the choice it gives you to go back to is...
following him or going to the therapy.
Visit Dr. Haynes, or follow Colin. Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, okay, maybe I can follow Colin... and then still, no. Okay. So this was my thinking. I was like, you know what? I still want this to be kind of an experience that I create and I have to live with. So I'm going to go back to the house because it says it's like visit Dr. Haynes. Yeah. I think that is what it wants you to do. Like that's the obvious go the right way to finish the story or do whatever.
Right.
But I'm like, no, okay, I'll go back and I'll choose Colin. Like basically I'll go back and murder Colin or tell him to jump.
Yeah. Smart.
And just live with it, So I did that, and sure enough, I said Colin, and he jumps off, and then his wife runs out, and I had forgotten he had a wife and kid. That's how that scene begins.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, man. So gut punch after that, but I'm like, okay, I'm living with that. But you killed him immediately, so I guess maybe this is... we're at the same spot now?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
A couple more small decisions are thrown in. There's one where you have a choice between pulling your earlobe or biting your nails.
Right.
And it's a small decision, but this is also where it introduces Stefan fighting you. Like you choose this decision and he fights his impulse then to pull at his earlobe is what I chose. I would imagine he would do the same thing if you chose bite your nails. So I'm way in my head by this. Like, I am gone in the movie at that. Like nobody wants to hear what I have to say at this point in the film. Let me tell you, and possibly the podcast.
All right. Then let's jump to.
Because I'm like thinking about like, okay, like, you know, like, does choice really matter? But they're contextualizing it in a way that they're referencing it. So, and this is before it's really giving you its final say. But yeah, I'm down the rabbit hole at this point. So
okay. So where did you end up? How does your final couple of choices lay out so that you get what ending or endings did you actually get?
So I flush the meds. I go back to work. And Colin is AWOL, quote unquote, which I think it tries to set up the is he dead or alive question.
I think he's more of a road now.
or you need to come up with whatever that stands for. Really off-putting.
Death.
Yeah, he's dead. Dead. The movie tries to set up is he really dead? Did that really happen? Type thing, because you wake up kind of out of breath. There are several moments in the film, and I think the film begins like this actually, where you just kind of wake up gasping in bed. Mm-hmm. And that happens after Colin dies. So I think it tries to set up did he really commit suicide, or is this, did things really start over?
What's the acid
in the film? But I don't think that lands, because if he had committed suicide, like, everybody at work would know. They wouldn't just say he went AWOL. Like, right. So I took that to mean he didn't kill himself, because everybody would know. But I think the movie doesn't want you to do that. Anyways, I hit the desk when it gives me a choice. I pick up the family photo when it gives me a choice, because it's between that and picking up a book called Lock Door Get Key, a guide to writing adventure games, I think, or something.
Sure.
It's written by Jerome Davies, the guy who wrote Bandersnatch. Yeah.
Bandersnatch!
And I guess it's important to mention that he killed his wife.
He did. He murdered her.
So anyways, you're asking where I got to.
I feel like he decapitated her.
He did. That is correct. That comes out a little bit later.
Which comes up depending on
either way,
choices.
Killed her.
It depends on. That's important depending on choices you make.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Huh. Because there is spoiler alert.
Spoil it. Yeah, we're in. I put a note to say we were going to spoil this from the very beginning, because we never do.
There's an option where you kill your dad and you have the option to cut him up or.
Oh, dang.
Bury him, I think. I don't remember what the two options are, but one of them is cut him up.
Bury him is probably. I buried my dad, but not through the same way, it sounds like, as that. So.
Yeah,
okay.
I think there's a way you kill him and you bury him.
Well, and that's the parallel, right? That's why they keep telling you about Jerome Davies, is because he went mad. He started seeing symbols and drawing the symbol on the wall. It looks like an upside down U with a stick out the top, kind of.
Right.
And
like a power button, even?
Yeah, I guess maybe without the circle being completed.
Yeah, because you could turn it on and off. That's what I kind of got out of it anyways, that it was just a power button.
Well, I might blow your mind later then, because I think I know what it was. Well, no, you know what it was, because they also... Okay, it's coming up. I picked up the family photo, and that's when you go into your flashback, and you seemingly can control the moment where you left looked for your doll that caused your mom to die. But then you wake up, and you're back at making the game, and your dad is still worried about you. And I know this isn't exactly where I ended up, but I think it's a monumental moment in the film that we have to mention. Mm-hmm. He has now come to a boiling point with trying to control the choices that I am choosing. So he starts yelling just into the sky, like, "Who are you? Who's doing this?" And you are faced with the option, tell me you got this, of the symbol, which is that it's a branch. It's a branching path. If you think about like a family tree or something like that, that's what it is.
Sure.
They show them Davies drawing that over and over, because and then he finds it on all of the branching paths he's drawn on the design documents for his game, Bandersnatch. He's like, that's the sign.
Bandersnatch!
That symbol, or the Netflix logo.
Oh, I chose the Netflix logo.
You got that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm losing it at that point. I'm like, the Netflix logo.
Is that what you chose?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I chose the Netflix logo.
Perfect. That was delightful.
Wasn't it good? But how far did you go down that hole though? Because then you can tell him more, or stop talking or whatever. Like how often did you keep trying to explain to him what Netflix was?
Oh, no. So you get to a point where where you go back to the therapist.
Yes. So oh gosh, it gets good. So you're trying to tell him what Netflix is, and not only by the end of that are you like, crap, I do sound crazy. Like I sound like a conspiracy theorist trying to explain to him, and yes, they're canned responses, but trying to explain to him what the heck Netflix is.
Keeping in mind, he's from 1984.
Exactly, right.
And that's kind of the big gag.
So I follow that all the way down, and I think I hit an end of sorts with that. Or maybe it followed through to the therapist. I don't remember. But you end up back at the therapist and essentially tell her everything. And she makes the statement, well, if all of this is happening to entertain someone, why aren't you in a more entertaining scenario? Tell me you got this too.
Uh-huh. Sure.
Okay. And all I have left now are my choices that I'm choosing. I choose yes to whatever. And I think it was probably to fight her.
Correct.
Because then
your two options are jump out the window or fight her.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah. Okay. So I fight her.
Right.
And then she turns into this ninja with like a bunch of whatever you call those
nunchucks.
Not shock sticks. No, they're like
the cattle prod things.
Yeah, kind of. But I don't think there's any cattle prod on the end.
No.
Steel
but,
things. Yeah. There's a word. Staffs. No, not it.
Collapsible asp.
Yes, that's it. She busts out a couple of nice asps and starts going ham and a half. And this fight scene breaks out, and then Dad comes in the door out of nowhere and starts. I think it's your dad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Starts like lifts you up, and then you have to. What was the choice you chose to get Dad off of your back?
I don't think I chose that one. I think Beth actually chose that one.
I don't remember what the other one was, but I kicked him in the balls.
I didn't see that. I don't think I saw that part. I think I was out of.
It was something or kick him in the balls, and so
I imagine that was it.
You go for the balls.
Beth is definitely a kick him in the balls kind of lady.
And then I think it's an ending of sorts. I'm pretty sure at that point because it gives you another big recap, and yes, it leads you back to either saying Netflix or giving him the sign, right?
Yeah, and I mean at the end, I don't think any of the choices matter too much when you do the Netflix thing. I think that the Netflix.
No, I think that's what I mean. Yeah, that kind of led to a dead. It want to progress the story. They want you to choose the symbol.
The symbol, right?
Which I think is fun because the first time I saw that symbol, like that, it was a 1-2 punch because first you see the Netflix logo, and then you see the symbol, and you're like, oh man, if I feed him that symbol, he's gone, right? Like he's like I could literally, I'm completely divorced from Stefan at this point. I'm not him.
Right.
I'm just like I could feed him the symbol, and he's gonna probably decapitate somebody around him, like Jerome Davies did, right? So it feeds you back to that point. You give him the symbol. I gave him the symbol anyways. Did you do that when it brought you back?
No, we finished it with the Netflix thing. Yeah, we walked away and went to the end credits.
Really?
Yeah.
That was the first time I want to say I did see the end credits option pop up.
Yeah, we watched.
So that's it. That's it for you.
That was it.
Wow, that's a pretty good ending, actually.
No, well, that was kind of the thing for us is we were like, do we want to go back? Because that's really kind of satisfying in every respect for where we went with it. Yeah, let's go with it.
I think you hit the right point too, because it's before, like towards the end, as you're kind of getting funneled, there really is, you notice kind of less choice, and it puts in all these recaps and then puts you back at other decisions. Like it's actually a really good way of feeding you back into content you haven't seen yet. Like I think it does that really, really well.
Sure.
Like we're literally talking about programming at this point instead of a movie. Which you could, another word for a movie is programming. Well, this is if you could somehow feed me that symbol right now, this might be the best show we've ever done.
Do you want me to make you like a cake or something? That shape?
I mean, yeah. But
I have a feeling that by the time I was done with it, it would look closer to a menorah. But
that's fine. That's good. I mean, that symbol does kind of just look like an upside down. Yeah,
they're branching paths.
Yeah.
Each day is new.
I stuck around for longer then.
Okay.
Right? It fed me back into feeding him the sign. So I went back. I fed him the sign, and it comes up with the option to get rabbit from Dad. And then if you go down that, it feeds you back into where you chose to pick up the picture or that book, the lock door, get key. And I pick up the book instead. And I think instead of feeding me the flashback, you just wake up startled, or it feeds you the flashback in a different way or something. You wake up startled, and then your choice is to get Rabbit from Dad. So you go into the room that Dad's been locking behind him throughout the whole movie, and you find that it's just full of like all this science equipment and studies. They've been watching him. There's videotapes of him with his therapist. It's basically all of it's the conspiracy theory from Colin brought to life, right? There you find a file that literally says PAC study, program and control. And as you're looking through all that stuff, Dad comes back in and says you weren't supposed to see all this. And then, wait, no, maybe you did get this far, because this is where you get into the real fight with your dad, I think, and you're given the choice to kill him or not.
Yeah, I know about it. I didn't see it.
Oh, okay. And so, of course, I choose not to kill him, because
which is stupid.
Don't kill your dad.
Yeah, then you get to cut him up.
Well, I forget. I think the movie ended again at that point, and then it brought me back somewhere. It wasn't directly back to it again. They're really clever about it, but it did eventually bring me back to that choice again. And I still didn't kill Dad, but the choice that I took led into him getting killed or dying. I think I still hit him with the ashtray, or it became more, that's what it was. It fed me back into how he was studying me this whole time. So he was a bad guy. And so then he tried to kill me because I found out. So basically in self-defense, I kill him.
Oh.
Or in more self-defense. I'm still kind of, the whole conspiracy theory is still true.
Sure.
And then I end up burying him. It didn't give me the option to cut him up, but although I wouldn't doubt if that's in there.
Yeah, no, I think that must be in the other direction then when you kill him straight off.
Okay. So yeah, it gave me the choice to bury him. And then at some point it gets even more interactive. You have to, that was the combo to get in the safe where he was. You have to think back. It gives you a cut of the entire movie where numbers were set at certain times. And that's the code to get into the safe to find the study. It's pretty cool. Like, did you remember, this is the one you'll remember when you left the therapist and she was like, all for one. And he finishes and one for all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the most obvious thing where I was like, that doesn't even fit. Well, that was one of the things, or that was one of the numbers I had to punch in. In any event, after I buried Dad, that's where I ended it. It came up. I could have kept going. I think it was like, like I said, there's got to be a way to actually complete the game. Because again, I think that game doesn't get completed because I end up in an insane asylum, right? Just writing the symbol on the walls, Mouth of Madness style. All over again. What movie did we just see where they did that, in fact?
Shazam.
Was it Shazam? Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Savannah does it at the very end.
So Shazam, that's where mine ended. I mean, you're right. To go back to what you said, choice removed, this isn't anything terribly special, but I think they've made that so integral, and I had so much fun with it and went down so many rabbit holes in the process that I really did love this thing. This was a super fun movie, I guess you could call it.
Sure. Now, really quickly,
sure.
I just want to mention these because, we talked about how this all worked out.
Yeah,
so,
and then what you thought, finally.
Yeah, so
And then maybe I wrap around to that Roger Ebert thing and not just poop that out for no reason. I don't know. We'll see. What would you choose?
Yeah. So the other endings are there's just to go over them. One of them you
these
find
are so
out
you look these up what the endings are.
You find out that you're being filmed. Like you're being filmed.
Okay.
Like there's
Got that.
There's one where it's not PAX, it's not the PAC or Netflix, and you end up dying.
Sure.
So you go back and you end up going back in time. You basically you get the rabbit from Dad, and you end up going back in time, reliving the day you were 5 years old, and you go with your mom on the train, triggering that you died.
Oh, okay.
And then there is one where everything starts over again.
There definitely is. So wait, there's no ending where you complete the game?
No.
Oh. I mean,
which is I guess that's kind of the point.
No, yeah, and for a series like Black Mirror, again, from what I know of it, and for a series like following in the steps of Twilight Zone or anything like that, that's the right ending. You know, that's the correct ending. You know, you don't want to finish the game. Sorry, to be clear, not finishing the game is the correct ending type thing.
Right.
All right, sure. What'd you think overall? How'd you like it?
I think it's a cool idea. Like I said, you know, as I think I agree with almost everything you said in terms of, you know, yeah, if the endings aren't there, if the options aren't there, this is not remarkable in any way. Very cool. How it was done. I'm curious. I would love to see what the actual script looked like for this too, like how this was all put together. This had to be a nightmare to write and then film.
It looked like Stefan's room, trying to design that game.
Yeah. I like the movie overall. So, how many stars do you give it?
You know, it's 53 stars.
It will be out of 83.
49 stars.
Okay, out of 5.
3 stars.
Out of 10. Now that we are done with talking about Bandersnatch, we can remind everybody, podcast at bookclubformovies.com. You know all this stuff. We're around. We're on the Facebooks and Twitters, all that stuff. But now we got to talk about what we're going to do. What's our next movie? What do we watch next week?
We do have to talk about that.
We do. And what would you like to do? You have any choices?
I don't have one this week. I had Bandersnatch. That was my hot idea last week. Look how that turned out.
Well, I've got a couple of options for you.
All right, feed them to me. We do in fact sometimes do this off air, but hey.
Oh, and there will be changes coming. We're talking about how we're going to change this up a little bit.
That's true. We might actually plan this out.
So I've got 2 options for you.
Okay, all right. What do you got?
I watched both of these this weekend. I was considering talking about them, but I will hold on either of them for a week.
Okay. I only have one other movie to talk about this week, so that could work anyways.
Step Brothers. Or Stay Tuned.
Stay tuned it is. We've
All
already
right.
said we're going to do. I feel like that's, yes. Stay tuned. Definitely stay tuned. And no offense to Step Brothers.
No.
Speak your piece, Step Brothers, but stay tuned, I think is what we do.
Stay tuned with John Ritter and Pam Dauber next week. Book Club for Movies. Going to be a fun discussion because that's a weird movie, man. Came out at a weird time.
I know just all of grew up as an 80s kid. Like I saw the trailer. I can see the trailer in my mind still for that movie.
There are probably about 100 things in that movie that you'll immediately, as a film nerd and a TV person, you'll go, I get that. The whole movie is a denouement. Yes. So stay tuned for Stay Tuned. But until next week, I think now we'll just do the rest of the show.
Okay, yeah, Step Brother me. What you got?
Step Brother. Well, it's not the only movie I got, but I'll hit you with Step Brothers.
I'm sorry.
No.
You.
No. I'll do it. Step Brothers.
What games?
Hour 38 minutes. Written by Will Ferrell, Adam McKay. Directed by Adam McKay. Starring Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly, Mary Steenburgen, and Richard Jenkins. Always a delight, that Richard Jenkins. Love that guy. Mm-hmm. Adam Scott and Catherine Hahn. Also a delight.
Isn't Catherine Hahn in there? Okay, good.
Yeah. I'm not going to
save the best for last.
No, she really has some of the best lines in that whole movie. What is there to say about Step Brothers that you haven't already heard? This one right here, for me, I think actually is probably peak Will Ferrell. I like a lot of his comedy movies. Anchorman's great. I actually really liked Semi-Pro. Really like that movie. Talladega Nights, I think, is freaking hilarious. I think those movies are great, but I think Step Brothers is definitely that's his.
Really?
He reached it. This is, to me, my favorite movie of his. Yeah, for sure. I think
I guess that would be an interesting discussion because especially I think Will Ferrell is a brilliant comedian.
In terms of, and let me I guess put it this way. I guess I'd have to think further, but in terms of movies, he's the star of. Like Anchorman's great. Freaking love it. Hilarious movie, right? I mean, no question. I think most of his movies are very, very good. This one is just, and there.
I still go back to.
I didn't want salmon. Just the stupid things he screams and says, and they go back and forth. I mean, it is such a funny, okay, Step Brothers is the dotted line, cousin to Wet Hot American Summer, where it's those those are it's the same thing. Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly are teenagers. That's the whole gag of the movie.
Yeah,
you know,
it totally takes. There are comedies that take that premise, like a ridiculous premise that can't exist, and it's not. Yeah, I don't know what bucket you put that in actually, but there are comedies that it's not like they're playing 12-year-olds. Like they still say they're 30 or 40 or whatever.
Right?
But they act like they're 12-year-olds,
yeah, they're
and
not,
they sell it, and the situation works, even though it doesn't.
Yeah, they're not infantile. You
Right,
know, they're just teenagers that are. They're teenagers, you know. But
they're not playing teenagers. Like even Wet Hot American Summer, they're old people playing teens.
Right.
Sometimes, I guess in the new ones. But yes. I understand what you're saying, and we agree.
Yeah, I think Adam McKay is brilliant, and John C. Reilly is great here. Mary Steenburgen and Richard Jenkins playing the straight men, the straight woman, the straights.
Straight parents.
Dire Straits, George Straits, the Strait of Panama.
Gibraltar. Oh,
the Strait of
nice.
Gibraltar.
You went with Panama. I was thinking Gibraltar. That's interesting.
Either way, I think Gibraltar's good though. It's more fun to say.
We just Bandersnatched that right there.
Bandersnatch. Yeah, that's a fun movie. Adam Scott and Catherine Hahn are that freaking. The Guns N' Roses bit in the car is just a constant delight. Them singing "Sweet Child of Mine" and him almost crashing the car.
It's been a long time since I've seen that movie. Actually,
yeah, it's a good one. Step Brothers, fun.
You're saying we should have watched that instead of the other guys when I was there?
No,
Is that what you're saying? I feel like that's what you're saying.
I feel like we are Step Brothers, so I don't know that we needed to watch it because we're like dotted line to that. We would have taken some kid named Gardaki and knocked him over and tried to force him to eat white dog poop. The other movie I watched...
Gotta watch the movie, I guess.
Other movie I watched was Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight. Directed by Ernest Dickerson, written by Ethan Reif, Cyrus Voris, Cyrus Voris is a terrifying name.
Is that a real name?
Yeah, and Mark Bishop, starring Billy Zane, William Sadler, Jada Pinkett, not Jada Pinkett Smith, prior to the marriage. Yeah, that's right.
I was going to say, when did this happen, Billy Zane?
Dick Miller, CCH Pounder, and Thomas Hayden Church.
Wow, that's a real murderer's row. I said in the Crypt Keeper's voice, but I can't remember what it's like. Okay, that brings it up.
Tales from the Crypt. So that, funny enough, another person in this movie. This was part of the show. It was a movie that they basically they decided to put the wrapper around the Tales from the Crypt wrapper. So the Crypt Keeper is at the very beginning of the movie, and he comes in at the end and does his introduction and his denouement. But one of the other funny things is, just because voices popped into my head, Charles Fleischer is in the movie too, and
nice.
Charles Fleischer, for anybody who does not know the name, would definitely recognize the voice if you've ever seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He was Roger Rabbit. So Demon Knight is it's a super fun movie. Jada Pinkett's actually really awesome in this movie. She has like super short blonde hair, and William Sadler, by the way, again another one. If you don't recognize the name, he played Death in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. So get off your freaking butts, because he's back for Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Is he in? Does he?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. He also actually has a cameo in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey without the makeup on. There's a point where they start showing TV or people watching TV all across the world, and he's the British guy, which is weird because he's not British. Anyways, Demon Knight is such a cool movie. It has one of my favorite intros. Just great introduction. It starts off with "Hey Man, Nice Shot," like the bass part for "Hey Man, Nice Shot," and Billy Zane is chasing William Sadler. They have a huge car crash, a massive explosion. We find out that Billy Zane is a demon. And it's Knight, but it's also at night, so it's a double entendre.
Oh, now I get it.
Yeah. So Billy Zane is chasing William Sadler, who's carrying around this key that's filled with blood. But we don't know. We just know that it's a key-shaped thing and it's got liquid in it. Huge fight breaks out where all of these people are basically at a halfway house, and the halfway house is, of course, in the middle of nowhere. And all of these people end up crossing paths. Some of them are staying at the halfway house. Billy Zane shows up after William Sadler does, and
cool guy.
the fight breaks out, and we find out that the key, he can drip this, like the drip whatever's in it, which is, it's blood, and it creates like a force field in a doorway or a windowsill or window whatever where the demons can't get past it. So it becomes this. The movie ends up kind of being a siege movie. Where
Do I even need to see the movie now?
Kind of, it's fun, but it's a siege movie where all these people are stuck in a house and there's these demons. There's one guy who knows how to fight them, but he's dying, and somebody else needs to take on the role of the demon knight, I guess. Freaking fun movie. I love the movie. Billy Zane chews the scenery, and
cool guy.
he has he has a quality set of puns throughout the movie. Some really good comedic portions. My one of my favorites, just to give you a taste, an example. He punches one of the sheriffs through his head, like his fist goes through his head, and he starts shaking the body. It's a really good effect. Then he rips the head off with his hand still in it, and he tosses it the other guy, and he goes, "Heads up."
I saw it coming, and it was still great.
Yeah, it's really fun. Terrifically put together little movie that absolutely was not a Tales from the Crypt movie. Again, this is one of these things that bugs the crap out of me. They could have just put this wrapper around every horror movie in the 90s, and it would have been fine.
So wait, this movie only exists as a Tales from the Crypt thing, or you just saw the Tales from the Crypt episode?
No. It's not an episode. It's not a remake or anything. It's a movie it was a movie, and they put the wrapper around it. What I'm saying is this was never a movie that was written. It's like the Cloverfield stuff, where it was not meant to be a Cloverfield movie. They adjusted things and went, okay, now it's a Same thing.
Somebody thought that would add something to it, and it sounds like it didn't need it.
Well, it's great. I love it, but it's none of the Tales from the Crypt anything needed it. It's great because the Crypt Keeper is, in every sense of the word, a horror host. He's Joe Bob Briggs. He's Svengoolie. He's
right.
Ned the Dead.
Elvira.
He's Elvira. Exactly. Actually, she showed up, I think, in the show once.
Oh yeah.
I think they've crossed paths.
I'm fairly positive. Yeah.
But I like that. I like having that because it's fun. It puts some weird contextual stuff into it. And it's nice because in a way, it lets them kind of get into the thrust of the movie without having to build everything up, because you kind of get a little bit of an introduction. You know what I mean? So it's not...
Yeah.
So I like that. My point is more that I would have liked to seen more movies. They only did 2 in that style. And that was always the kind of a bummer.
Huh. Okay.
So,
only movie I saw couldn't be more different from both of your movies.
Sure. Robin Hood the cartoon.
No, but that is the best Disney cartoon.
Agreed.
Good job.
Correct.
No, it's called 3 Identical Strangers. It's a documentary. Mm-hmm. Stop me if you've heard this one.
No, keep going.
It's about apparently if you were alive at the time, you know the whole story anyways.
I do.
But it's about this guy who went to college, and upon arriving at college, everybody was like, "Hey, Eddie, what's up?" And he's like, "I'm not Eddie," but people kept calling him Eddie until finally some guy was like, "You have a twin." So they went and found Eddie, and it was his. They were. It's a story of 3 kids, triplets, that were given up for adoption without telling that they were triplets. So they didn't know they had twins out there. And the story, I don't know about spoiling it, but it's...
They find each other.
They do, but that's not it. Like, it goes down some weird... Like, if you watch the trailer, it's like, but then stuff gets weird. And yes, it does get weird. It toes an interesting line because the first act, maybe, of it is very kind of made for TV. One of the twins is very camera friendly. You get the point. You get the feeling that he's embellishing or playing things up a little bit, which he's not, like, factually, but
it comes across that way.
Yeah, I can be kind of hypersensitive to that, so it starts out. But then, strangely enough, it's smart enough to know when to kind of background the camera in a way, like when to move the camera out of the way, kind of.
Sure.
Which doesn't make any sense, but
No. It does. It totally does. Like to be more the fly on the wall than to be
yes.
engaged.
It smartly knows when to do that and to tell its story. It's very effective in that. The last half is a lot better than the first half, even if neither is perfect. And in a lot of ways, it's kind of a made-for-TV thing.
Sure.
But it's better than that and worth the story alone. So it does go to some strange places and makes some smart choices in the process.
Nice.
Yeah.
I do want to mention one other thing. This would normally be I'd leave this for TV volleyball or something, but it's not something I necessarily
You should. We're not going to have anything for TV volleyball whenever we do it again.
Well, this is less a discussion about that. It's more of a over the weekend. I picked up the remastered Blu-rays for Batman the Animated Series.
Oh, yeah, and I guess we recently talked about this anyways.
I just got to tell you, that is worth the dollars. Holy crap. Like,
okay.
Going back and watching, like, so I started rewatching my DVDs of it not too long ago. And I was loving it. Yeah, it's still great. It's still Batman, the Animated Series. Awesome. Getting this, and because I didn't have the whole series, I only had like 2 seasons of it. Getting this, holy crap. I can't even, the just insane difference in what it looks like. The quality of it is so good now. It's like the quality of it now is what you thought it was when you first saw it as a kid.
Sure, yeah.
Like it's the clearest, most amazing thing.
Did you get to the Mr. Freeze episode? Yep.
I haven't gotten that far yet. I've only
hear about it.
I've only watched the first 2 episodes, and he's not. Those aren't.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think it's
Also,
close, though, actually, I think it might be the 3rd episode.
It might be. I do want to mention that it also comes with Mask of the Phantasm and Batman and Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero.
Yeah, because those were features after the fact, I want to say. Or no,
right.
They were made features and then aired within the season, I think.
Right. Mask of the Phantasm, I remember that came out. That was in the theaters. And
well, Sub-Zero was too, but they
broke it down into episodes. And I think those might have been the last episodes of the series too.
No, Phantasm was way early on.
Was it really?
Sub-Zero, I'm not sure. Maybe, but I want to say it was still within season. So
I didn't see Phantasm until well after the show was off the air.
Phantasm's before Sub-Zero, pretty sure.
I believe I haven't seen Sub-Zero. I didn't see Sub-Zero until after it was the show was off the air too.
And if you want to hear us talk about those, go back to, I think it was our latest scattershot. What was that? We call it? I don't remember. The rest of the rest, maybe.
The rest.
We just talked about movies because we weren't ready to do Triple Frontier yet. Maybe.
The only other thing that I could tell you is that Shazam is a good movie.
Shazam's a good movie. Go listen to that one too. Hey, Book Club for Movies. There's a whole bunch you can go listen to. You can also Facebook, Twitter us. Podcast at bookclubformovies.com. Next week, it's stay tuned.
That's right. But stay tuned also for next week. But also the movie is called Stay Tuned.
That's not confusing.
Not even a little bit. Look, it's, you know what? I'm going to go find the rabbit.
Okay, bye.
Bandersnatch.
You say